Hello everyone. Today I am going to be emptying this arch, which makes me sad because it does still look good, but I'm going through these tasks and I just want them done before the cold weather gets here. It's also just much easier to pull plants when, the potting soil isn't frozen. So I am going to empty this arch. What's on it currently is the coconut appeal thunbergia. I had some of the pink tiara petunias. I randomly threw in some cosmos, and then another reason why this might be sad is I did plant two white Eden, I think, climbing roses in each of these planters, and then the thunbergia was much more aggressive than I expected and covered them completely. So we are going to see if the roses are alive or dead. I guess place your bets in the comments below. I'm leaning towards probably dead, so I'm going to pull this, see how the roses are doing. And then I also have a couple pots in front that are actually part of this arch that I'm going to empty out as well. And then if you weren't here for when I planted this up, I can kind of show you how I created it. And it's been very sturdy all season. We get a lot of wind here. It's been upright and it's on wheels, but nothing has ever moved. So I'll show you how I put this together in case you do want an arch somewhere not in the ground, either on your balcony or your patio, because I really loved how this turned out. I almost forgot there's also sweet potato vines. This is a plant I probably won't put here next year because as much as it does fill out this space, I had to trim it fairly regularly in order to keep the walkway open. So I'll probably use this on something that climbs upward and not necessarily trailing out like I had it in here because it's just more maintenance than I wanted. Now I do have pruners, but I almost feel like I should just start by pulling on the plants and see how that does. So fingers crossed. I'm going to start with the sweet potato vine. I will definitely have a mess to clean up after this is empty. Yeah, okay, let's get the pruner so I don't knock the arch over. You know what I just realized? I don't think the sweet potato vine was planted in here. It was planted in the front pot. It just grew so aggressively, I forgot where I planted it because it looks like it's coming out of this pot, but it's not. It's a pot up in front here that you'll see once this is empty. I'll put the name of this vine down below because it's one of those that has like 6 words in its name. It's Sweet Caroline Key Lime Pie Upside Down something, but I'll put it down below because it is a fantastic climbing sweet potato vine. And if you're looking for something with a lot of coverage, a lot of leaf canopy, this is definitely a solution. And these usually look great. They're one of the longest lasting plants for me in the fall, still looking good in the garden. And I know that a lot of people take some of these in to overwinter them or propagate them for next year. All right, well, the pot's coming with. All right, also looks like I probably killed this hydrangea because of the sweet potato vine, but we will make the assessment after I get this all cleared out. I wanted to show you as I'm pulling this out. So that whole mass of sweet potato vine was one plant planted right here in the corner. So that's how it started. And you can see how large it got. I'm gonna need the pruners to get this out though. I'm gonna try to get the petunias out next. Hopefully I can grab the whole root ball, but we will see. I haven't really thought about how to attack the thunbergia, but I think I'm just going to use my current method of hacking away until the vines come off. Oh, I'm sad, but it has to happen. This was really pretty. If I was only growing this up the arch, I would love it, but because it maybe smothered a rose bush, I wouldn't put it on here if you are growing it with something else that you want to see the light of day. Still can't even find, oh, there's some, I see some rose leaves. They're green. All right, maybe higher hopes than I thought. Sorry, the bottom leaves on the rose look green too. Okay, getting excited. Don't get too excited. Let's see if we can keep uncovering the rose. See, here are some of the leaves. They are green. here's the mess I've made with all the plant waste. There are some bees that are flying around it, so I was going to try to move it somewhere else, but for now, I guess I'll just leave it for them and whatever they're doing with it. But I also have that pile. I will sweep it up off the ground, but I will leave the ones on the table. But let me show you the roses. Here's this one. Now, the roses aren't much larger than they were when I planted them this spring because they were growing in full shade, basically, underneath the thunbergia, but everything is green. So I have high hopes. I was not expecting to see any sort of a living rose underneath the plant. And this is the other one. This one I did accidentally cut some branches off of, like here, because I wasn't being careful enough when I was pulling off the thunbergia. So I will cut those pieces back. But again, a living, albeit very small, rose. So the only potential upside of the roses being dead is that I wouldn't have to worry about trying to overwinter them outside and killing them. But since they are alive, I am going to attempt to overwinter the roses. Now, they are in containers that are too large to move down to the garage. That's where I've normally been able to overwinter roses. Usually, they succumb to root rot if I try to leave them outside or even in the plastic greenhouse up on the rooftop deck. So what my plan is going to be the same for the fruit trees, which is highly technical. I will be rolling all of the plants up in front of this row here, and then I will be shoving the furniture up against it and probably throwing some tarps and stuff on it to try to insulate it. But yeah, that's my highly technical attempt at overwintering. I've never done this before. This is my first time trying to overwinter anything on this garage deck. So I don't know if it's going to work or not. Now, I'm not gonna move anything yet because we're still in like the 60-degree temps during the day, but once it starts getting colder and I don't have to worry about watering the plants anymore because they've gone dormant, that's when I'll move them over up against this wall and then hope for the best. Now, one thing I am doing, because I just thought this would make sense, let me know if it does or does not, is I'm leaving the root balls of the other plants in the container. So you can't quite tell because I did cut off all of the stems, but the petunia root balls in here, the thunbergia root balls are in there. And my thinking is that the root balls will provide extra insulation because if I dug the root balls up, well, one, I would have empty pockets where the cold air could get in, but also if I put just fresh potting soil in, it's not as dense as the root ball. So my thoughts are that the root balls of the annuals will help to protect the root ball of the rose. But again, that's just my own unscientifically verified thought process. I'm going to sweep up what's on the ground and then I'll show you the pots and how I made the arch. But there are bees enjoying the waste down here, so I don't know where I'm going to put it, if I'm just going to put it in a pile but like move it out of the entryway. But I've got a lot to clean up here. I always try to clean up right as I'm doing the task because I know if I tell myself I'll do it later, I probably won't. So making sure I have things clean before I go back inside is usually the best option for me. It's as clean as I'm going to get it for now. This is the waste that has been on the table. I'm going to leave that for the bees for now. I did sweep up most of the plant waste that was on the ground, and then I just put it on top of where I put the plant waste from the 4 aquapots that I pulled. So that had gotten down to about, has it been a week, I think, since I pulled those? So those had started to break down and they weren't very tall anymore, so I just tossed this on the top. And then that right there is full of the plant waste from last time. Now, since this waste, again, wasn't diseased or covered in some sort of pest, it's going to stay in the garden. It's going to break down and either go into some of the pots out here with the perennials for mulch, or it's going to go in my tumbler composter. Now, let me talk a little bit about how I set up this arch. And again, it worked really great. It was really sturdy, even when we had some very high winds. First of all, these taller pots are from Viridec, and they come with an insert. The insert is right there. So normally this would go into this tall pot, and that way you'd only have to fill that much up with soil, so you're not having to fill up the whole pot. But because I knew I wanted to put the arch into the pot, I figured it would be a lot more sturdy if it went all the way down and the soil went all the way down. So this arch is just a little bit smaller than the diameter of this pot. I stuck it in, I filled it with soil all the way down, but before I did that, I did put it on wheels so that I could easily move this around. So it's on wheels, the arch is in there, and that was it. And I was able to have a beautiful arch on my container deck. You know, for some reason, I actually don't feel as sad as I thought I was going to. Maybe it's because the roses survived, so it's giving me a little bit of extra boost. But I was going to try to put some decorations on this arch because we can see it from inside the house. But if I'm going to try to overwinter the roses, this definitely is not as protected as underneath the pergola, so I'm probably not going to do that. But I will do it on the arch that is down on the patio. So yeah, I think that's it. I am excited again that the roses did not die, even though they didn't grow very much at all. I'll let you know when I put all these in place to overwinter them. I'll show you, and then we'll find out next spring what lives and what dies out here. But that's going to be everything for this video. So let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next one.